Are you ready to learn to get rid of stress in your life? To learn how to deal with the emotional turmoil that causes strokes, heart attacks, bad health, and even weight gain? Life-changing habits for work, family, and everyone you deal with start here with Andrew Wittman. It's time to get warrior tough. Here's Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman.
All right, it's time to get warrior tough, the most monumental hour in media anywhere. We're your leadership and mental toughness coaches, Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman.
Good evening, my friends, Andrew, and all those listening.
I love how I wasn't one of your friends. Good evening, my friends, and Andrew.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. That's messed up. Wait. Anyway, if you want to get in on the conversation, you can call us at 855-856-1380, 855-856-1380 on Twitter. Use the hashtag #GetWarriorTough. You can find Dutch at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at Warrior Tough PhD. Go to the website, getwarriortough.com. Find a handle, hook in, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like us on the Facebook page. Connect with Dutch and I on LinkedIn. Dutch, today is Hawaiian Shirt Wednesday here at the Mental Toughness Training Center, and I am wearing my Hawaiian shirt, buddy.
I see, man. You're a regular Magnum PI.
Hey, no, now listen, this is not a Magnum shirt, okay? Because my Hawaiian shirt is like olive drab and khaki.
I don't know. We don't have any proof of that right now, so I'm gonna have to mislead the audience.
Well, go to the YouTube channel and see my Hawaiian shirt. Dutch is not wearing his today. It's all good. All right, so it's a pretty good week, Dutch. Today you gave a commencement speech, man. That's what I heard off the wire on the AP.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was a 8th grade graduating class, and it looked like a pretty sharp group there, and it was interesting. You know, when you're speaking to a different audience or any audience that you're speaking to, you have to speak to that audience, especially when it's specifically for a group. There were a lot of adults and parents and administrators there, but the words were for the 8th graders, and I had to make sure that I spoke directly to them, and I was told I did a pretty good job, and I just hope that they took something away from it.
Well, I am sure you did a good job because, I know the Dutch Coleman, and I love it whenever I'm in your presence. So I'm happy for those kids, man, that they got to brush up against you.
Well, I tell you what, I was happy to hear some of the stories that they were sharing, and a lot of times people are concerned about the youth of America. I wasn't concerned looking at that group, and I hope that instead of us as leaders being concerned about the youth, that we concern ourselves with ourselves and what we're going to give the youth. I think that's really the secret. What do we have for them, as opposed to putting some sort of pressure on them? So I felt really good being a part of their process of going to that next level.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it really is cool. So it's been an exciting week around here, as usual, right? It's always exciting around these parts in our world, Dutch. So we had the BBC ran an article featuring our stuff this week on Monday. It came out, and it was advice on what to do when the boss plays favorites. And so that was pretty cool. That's up there on the website. If you go to in the news under the media tab, you can click on that article. And then we had an article come out in the largest HR magazine in the country. There's like 275,000 members, in the HR community that subscribe to this thing. So it was pretty cool, and it was about burnout in the workplace. And I kind of want to talk about that tonight. Resilience in the workplace and how to be proactive. Like, let's stop waiting, Dutch, until you are burnout before you do something, until you are stressed out before you do something, till you have the heart attack or the stroke or the depression, or the sleepless nights before you do something. You know what I mean? Like, let's get, it's coming, and I'm going to give you guys some stats on what the CDC says in the Labor Department and what the stats are. They're fresh, right off the press, and let's get in front of the curve, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, something you said is very interesting. Getting ahead of the curve. We do feel it's going. Burnout doesn't just happen overnight. There are plenty of signs. People actually comment about it as they're getting to that point. They talk about it, as early as a third of the way, definitely talking about it midway, and right as they're coming up on it, they feel all the signs, and they're actually aware. So it's one of the few things that sometimes we're aware of that is happening to us, and we still don't act on it. So I'm sure there's some out there, maybe it did sneak up on you, but I don't know if I've ever talked to anyone that it snuck up on.
No, man. I mean, come on. I mean, you got to be. You're in denial if you're like, oh no, it doesn't sneak up on you. You know when you're getting to where you had enough, and we'll give you some signs. Okay, so they surveyed. This is out 26,000 U.S. workers were surveyed here, and this is what they came out that the nature and the demands of the workplace have evolved right over the past 50 years, and now more than ever, work-related stress poses a recognizable threat to the health of workers. And the CDC defines workplace stress as harmful physical and emotional responses that occur when the requirements of the job do not match the capabilities, resources, or needs of the employee. So we're trying to do more with less. And listen, y'all, listen. This is serious because the next market correction is coming down the pike. It happens like every time there's an election, a change of administration. The markets freak out, and there's this market correction. You can go back and you can watch it over the past 40, 50 years. So people are going to hit the unemployment line again, right? So you're going to have to do more. They're going to be layoffs. So the people that keep their job, Dutch, they're going to be expected to do more with less manpower, more with less resources, more with less time, more with less, which just increases the chances of burnout.
Absolutely. And, that's another popular thing you're talking about. I've talked to so many people that within their office, they got rid of somebody and they didn't add anyone. And so you end up having to do twice the work. And guess what? You keep your pay. You keep your same pay.
Yeah, they're not giving you a raise, man.
You think that's going to cause any stress?
Yeah. So 40% of those workers that were surveyed, 40% said their jobs are very or extremely stressful. That is an enormous amount of people on the very or extremely.
That's
and
amazing.
that's like, 29% there's quite a bit stressed, quite a bit. And then 26% said that they're often feel burned out. That's like the top of the chart. You're already burned out. Not extreme stress, not a bit of stress, but 26% of the workforce says they're already burned out.
Oh man, and that's real stuff, man. And so we're not talking about the ones that are burned out that didn't admit it, or the ones that are burned out that are somehow not quite aware of it, or some that are on their way to burnout. You might have some people that were halfway there that are saying, no, I'm not burned out, but they're right at the doorstep of being burned out. So that 26% could be what, 52, 55, 60?
Yeah. I mean, if you add in with the people that say they're extremely stressed, which I would say is a precursor to being burnt out. If you think your job is extremely stressful, right, that's how you would classify it. You're probably it's a precursor, right? So that's like 66% of the workforce. They're either extremely stressed or admitting that they're burned out.
So that, I think we can all agree that that's a tremendous problem. I think that's not without question. I mean, that's a tremendous problem.
Yeah, and I'll just give you here's the hard numbers on it. And I've talked about this before, but this is, fresh numbers. Employers spent $300 billion with a B billion annually for healthcare and missed work days as a result of workplace stress. Nothing else, just as a result of workplace stress. And the number one stressor in people's lives, by far, this survey says, is their job. $300 billion, that's bottom line stuff. So it's funny because, it's almost like counterintuitive, but so what the companies do, these organizations, they do the layoffs to try and save money and stop the bleeding and keep the bottom line. But it ends up costing them more money to ask their people to do more with less and not give them the raise because they hit burnout and they're hit stress, and that costs them $300 billion just for that. Amazing.
And it's amazing the companies that are realizing the cost, the numbers that you're saying, and they're still doing nothing about it. That's a lot of them. They've identified it, and they're just sitting on their tuchus doing nothing about it. Like, okay, well, we got this great research, you got this great information. What are we going to do with it? Nothing.
Now watch this, man. 73% of workers regularly experience psychological symptoms of stress. They regularly experience. And 77% regularly encounter the physical symptoms, which of course is why you're spending $300 billion on healthcare costs for stress.
Unbelievable.
Yep. All right, it gets worse before we get you and we'll fix it. So hang on, but we're just dialing up the pain right now. We're being Toro, right? 54% of all these U.S. workers that were surveyed, 54% said stress had caused them to have fights with people that were close to them. Number one cause of conflict, fights with people that were close to them, was because they're stressed, burnout.
Unbelievable.
Now, Dutch, this next stat, I saved it for last because it shouldn't shock me, man. I shouldn't be surprised. I already should know. In our line of work, we already know this anecdotally, but to see the actual number and put empirical data to it, it really just took me aback. Are you ready for this?
Yes, absolutely.
60%. That's almost 2/3 of the entire workforce in the U.S. said that they wish, they prefer, they fantasize, whatever they want. If they could, they would choose a new career altogether than what they're doing right now.
So the overwhelming, we're talking about more than half.
Almost 2/3, dude. 60%. That's 6 out of 10 people wish they were in a different job, a different career. Not a different job, but a different career altogether. No wonder they're stressed and burnt out because, listen, Dutch, this is what we know. And we know in the warrior culture, we know it at Go Warrior Tough, we know it here at the Mental Toughness Training Center, that if you do not love what you do, the stress builds and you do not put out the effort. It's like the burning house. Why would you go in the burning house? Because I love my kids. Yeah, and if you haven't heard that story, Dutch and I tell this story when we go into corporate audiences, that imagine that the house was on fire and your 2 kids, 8 and 10, were in the house, and then the fire chief told you there's no way you could 1 in a million shot, you could get the kids out. I'm not even going to send my men in. And then we asked the question, would you take the 1 in a million and go in? And everybody says they will, Dutch. We've never found anybody that said they wouldn't take the 1 in a million because they love the kids. And so that's why they would do the extra effort and go in the burning house. But 2/3 of the people in this country wish they would prefer just a completely different career altogether. No wonder they're stressed and they're about burnout.
Now, didn't we get the one in New Jersey that said they wouldn't go in?
Well, he did. No, he said, "Well, he did." He said, "I ain't got no kids," and I was like, "Jersey?" I said, "Well, all right, what if it was your mom?" He said, "Well, I'd go in for my mom." I said, "You just saved New Jersey," because I was going to tell about him everywhere we went, but he did save himself in the end. But we still tell about him, so he kind of really is getting it anyway.
Absolutely, but that's for the people who are listening that are saying, I ain't got no kids.
Yeah, I ain't going in the house. What was your mom? He's like, well, all right, it's my mom. I'm going in. I'm like, well, there you go, because I've been looking for you all over the place, man. For 30 years, I've been looking for that knucklehead that says I'm not going to go save the kids.
I love that. I love when we talk about that. But you're right. Everyone, and I don't think we ever will find anyone that won't do that. I think it's human nature. We have that emotion. So it's like we always talk about, and I'm going to let you finish that, but the emotions is a huge driver. The decisions that we make, we can use emotions to propel us and to help us.
Right,
as long
that's
as
the
we're
why.
in control. So that's the next step.
Right, that's our driver, right? The emotion is the driver, and then we steer with logic. So if you're in a place where you're miserable when you wish you were somewhere else, there's no way you're going to actually pay attention and do a good job and put the effort in. It's going against the human machine.
30 seconds.
Because you are actually thinking about and wishing and hoping you were somewhere else. You're daydreaming. You are not going to put the effort in. All right, so Dutch, we're up on a break. When we get back, we'll crank out some more of this stuff, and then we'll proactively get in front of it. All right, you listen to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman.